Welcome to the Wynn Show, where everybody comes to win. I'm your hostess, Wynn Godbold, and we hope that in watching these interviews, you will be inspired to take action on making your impact in the world. Remember, nothing is impossible. The very word says, I'm possible. Enjoy the show. So welcome back to another edition of the Wynn Show, where everybody comes to win. Today we have an incredibly special guest that I know is going to touch your heart, going to touch your life, and is going to inspire you. We are on site today with Ron Wilson, who is the director of Veterans Welcome Home and Resource Center. Ron, thank you for spending some time with us today. You have an amazing story. We want our viewers to hear your story so that they can be inspired.
Okay.
By what has brought you to this point.
Okay.
So I'd love for you to start by simply just sharing with us what is the Veterans Welcome Home and Resource Center.
Okay, this center was founded by Chris Turtlette, who we call Turtle, and he had established a very similar program in upstate New York. And when he retired and came down here to South Carolina, he was involved with the VFW post right down the street, the VFW post 10804. And he became the service officer. He decided he wanted to expand on that. And so he was able to get a rented house in Little River and set up shop. And the first couple of years that they were in that rented house, they dealt with a few veterans here and there. In 14, it became apparent that we were able to buy a house. He had some extra money, and so they bought this house here on Highway 57 South in Little River. And we got a grant from Home Depot to move it because there was a boundary line dispute and set up shop here. So in 14, we handled approximately 300 veterans. And we help veterans with a lot of different things. Job placement. We assist them with filing the VA claims. We provide financial assistance for those veterans who need some financial help. And we're also a temporary shelter for those veterans that we have found that are living in their cars. We want to get them out of those cars and get them back into society. And so we help veterans do those four things.
When you told us that, when we first walked in the door and we were kind of talking before, now when you've shared that with our viewers, the first three, I was like, this is nice. This is great. Thank you. Glad to hear it. And then when it comes to housing veterans who are living in their cars, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just the thought that we have veterans who are living in their cars is so disturbing and brings such weight to the work that you do.
Most of the veterans that are living in their cars were doing okay. They have a legitimate source of income, or they did, and then they got hit with some financial difficulty. I mean, a major blow, and that's why they're living in their cars. This crowd is not part of the crowd that's living in the forest. They're living off the grid. That's a large portion of the veterans who don't particularly want our help.
Right.
You know, we do a stand down the end of every September. This was the 5th year that we've been involved with the stand down down at Margaret.
What's a stand down?
A stand down is a phrase that we use in the military. You know, if somebody's kind of out of control or they don't know what to do, we say, stand down.
Okay.
And take a deep breath. And so we run this. This year we had about 250 veterans go through our facility down at Market Common. It's at the Reserve Center. And they're there to get something to eat, get a shower, get a haircut, get new boots, new underwear, sleeping bag, a rucksack. And out the door they go, even though we've got numerous agencies that are down there willing to help them. You know, we were able to identify 68 veterans who are homeless down there. And this was on a Friday. And so we gave them all of our information and everything else. And so we expected them to be lined up here on Monday morning. We're still waiting. So we haven't got one yet. But if a veteran is homeless, you know, we can fix that. Anyway, I mean, we can fix that today.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the work in those 4 areas that's done right here and how big of a resource you really are.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's important to remember we're a 501c3. We're independent. We're not affiliated with any governmental agency. Everybody.
And that is huge. That's big. That's a huge distinction. I don't want that to get lost on anybody, that you are not affiliated with the government. This is pure heart.
This is
501 volunteer.
We're all volunteers here.
Nonprofit, completely.
Right.
just mission.
Yep.
Okay.
It's our position that every dollar that comes into this building, into our organization, goes to helping a veteran, period. Even though the state says we can't say that because we still have to pay rent and or insurance and gas and water and electric
Lights
and those types of things. Taking all that into consideration, we're at 96.6% of all the money that comes in goes to helping a veteran.
Okay, that's huge as well because, you know, we went through a period of time where nonprofit organizations got a really bad rap, and we discovered that a lot of places weren't really putting the money where people were donating. 96% of everything that comes through here helps a veteran.
Right.
That's huge for folks like myself who I want to make sure my money really gets to the people. And you're doing that. And you said that puts you in the
top 1/2 of 1% of charitable organizations.
1/2 of 1% of charitable organizations.
You know, I get people coming in here all the time saying, we gave money to this, that, or the other organization, and they didn't do what we thought they were going to do with it, or they're not a nonprofit. And so we want to know about your organization and what you do and what we can do to help. And so now we're on their priority list. We get a lot of different things coming in.
That's big. It means a lot. I mean, people want to give. As you've experienced, you've had donors to come in and just meet needs in incredibly big ways. But people want to know that it's going to help the people that they wanted to help, not paying somebody.
We're starting to look at grants. And there was one application we put in for Dominion Energy. And we're looking to hopefully get $5,000 from them.
Okay.
And so they want to know, where's your $5,000 going to go? Well, we need a new roof. It's going to cost $7,000. So I've got to go raise $7,000. And then we've got.
If
they
you
want to
had
know
that grant from Dominion, would you only be raising $2,000?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. We know that everybody is 6 degrees, right? So there's somebody who's going to see this, who's got a mama's, uncle's, brother's, sister's boyfriend who works at Dominion, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So come on, let's step it up here, folks. We need a new roof, and we need a roof because tell them a little bit about the house here and how.
One of the things that Dominion wanted to know is how many veterans is this going to help?
Yes.
And I said several hundred. Because everybody that walks through that door, whether we're going to house them or whether they're going to help them with a claim or whatever, they're going to benefit because they're not going to be sitting in the rain.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be a roof over their head. Because this portion where we are right here it's all under one roof. Yes. The resource center and the housing facility that you have. Right. And you shared with us in 2014, you helped. Did you tell me 300?
Yeah, it was about 300.
And here we are in 2019. And what's your number?
We're on track to assist a little over 1,100 veterans.
1,100.
1,100.
That's a triple in 4 years.
Yeah.
Almost a quadruple.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's incredible.
Well, we're seeing more and more veterans moving down to the Grand Strand, and if they're in need, if they go to the vet center, the vet center does primarily counseling in the area of PTSD.
Okay.
But if somebody goes into the vet center, if they go into one of the VA locations, or if they're homeless and they go into one of the homeless offices, they're going to point them up here if they're a veteran. Okay. And once they come in here, as long as they're honorably discharged.
Okay. That's an important criteria for y'all.
Which we just had too many. We can only help so many.
Right.
Even though we do the best we can with what we have. We've got 28 volunteers here, but as you saw when you came in, the influx that we had earlier today has left.
Right. So there's still a lot of people here.
There was one Thursday morning I came in, there were 23 people lined up out here.
Wow.
Looking for assistance with VA claims. So we're getting referrals from, like I said, Wilmington to Georgetown and from Conway to the ocean. But any veteran that walks in here, if we can help them, fine. If we can't, we know who can.
Yeah.
And so we'll point them in the right direction.
You are a well-connected man, and purposefully so, that you can network and provide for others.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you a little bit about you. Like, I want to know some of how did you land here? So you told us that Turtle started, and there's a great story about that as well, right? So share that, and then why are you here? What's your
Okay, well,
bring forth?
it was started by Chris Turtlette and Bill Matthews and Amy Johnston.
Okay.
All three are veterans. You know, Chris was with the 25th Infantry in Vietnam. He got shot up a little bit. Bill Matthews was also in that unit, and Amy Johnston retired as a nurse, as a lieutenant colonel from the United States Army.
Okay, so you've been serving as director for the last 2 years then?
Yes, 2.5 years. I took over on June 1st.
Okay. Can I back you up even further than that?
Sure.
So you're driving down 57 and you see the sign, but you're a veteran.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about your service? And when you walked in the door, you said, here's what I can do for you. What was it that you said you could do? What skills did you bring into this?
Well, I'm an attorney.
Okay.
And I'm a retired policeman. I'm a retired college professor. I'm a retired attorney. And I said, I've got all this stuff, and I'm willing to help you, because I've retired 4 times. Well, it just doesn't kick in.
I was going to say, so that is total encouragement for our viewers, because you may have retired once or twice, but you got nothing on this guy. But take us back. You're a veteran. Tell us of your service, because we're grateful for that.
Okay. Well, after they asked me to leave Central Michigan University, and I lost my student deferment, the next thing that happened, because I was one of the winners of the lottery, the draft lottery. So in order to avoid the draft and be sent directly to Vietnam, I went and enlisted. And so after basic training, I got sent down to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and I became permanent party in the training school down there for the Signal Corps. And I did that until March of '71, and then I did come down on orders for Vietnam.
Okay.
And so I went to Vietnam. I went through Cam Ranh Bay to Bien Hoa, and I ended up meeting somebody that knew somebody, and got pulled to headquarters of the 1st Signal Brigade, where I worked with 4 other soldiers in force development.
Okay.
And I left the Army in ETS is what we call it, the expiration term of service. That was on February 4th of '72. I left the Army as a Sergeant E5.
Okay.
So I made Sergeant E5 after about 14 months.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, it was. It was a pretty critical role that we had in force development.
Okay.
So, and then after that, I joined the police department in Dearborn, Michigan. And
so don't gloss over that, because when you first shared this piece with me, I thought, this is a really neat piece of your story. You got your job at the police department. How?
Yeah,
I went there because
I went in to renew my driver's license. They had a driver's license bureau in there.
Okay.
And I met the chief, and the chief said, just get out of the service? I said, yes. He said, you got a job? I said, no. He says, well, start there Monday.
Yeah.
So that was it.
When you think about the people in your life who, had that moment not happened, what would you have walked out of? You had your license, okay. Where would you have gone? What would you have done?
I don't know. My dad was trying to get me to go sell life insurance. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, heaven only knows where I'd be.
Was there ever a time where you just thought, what have I done? This is impossible, man. Crazy. I'm quitting. I'm running away. I want to, put the covers over my head. Did you ever run into something like that?
Yeah, I did. When I was teaching, carrying 5 classes, and traveling with the mock trial team, and I'm thinking, this is a young man's job, and so it became overwhelming.
Okay.
And so I said, hasta la bye-bye.
Yeah.
And so I was retired for almost 3 weeks.
Almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And at the end of these 3 weeks, what did you find yourself newly into? Was that when you stopped by here?
That's when I stopped by here.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was the end of that.
Okay. So as you look back on all of these different experiences in your life, and it sounds amazing. I mean, you tell a great story. And are there people along the way that you think, wow, if not for that one, or this person really impacted me, or is there a person or an experience that you really
see? My job is to be the impactor, not the impactee.
Okay.
That's what I do. I'm always looking for the ones that are they're at the end of the rope and they just don't know what to do or where to go or who to talk to. And I said, come see me.
When did you first recognize that within yourself? How did you know, gosh, this is what I do?
Probably when I was a young policeman.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
how'd you discover
that's what the police do in this country. They help people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the helping people.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did. And even when I was a lawyer, helping them, and the kids in college too, when they came in and they're freshmen or sophomores, and they didn't know what to do or what I want to be when I grow up. And I said, well, let me give you some advice. Let me get you pointed in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage them.
Is there somebody now, even maybe an author or a book that you read, or somebody who you look to keep you inspired? Because all of this helping, it fills, but sometimes it can take.
It's that guy behind you there, that picture. Yeah. That was my dad. He was the one.
Can you tell us about him?
That was an interesting story. My dad went into the Army in 1942 and was in there for 3 years. And when he got out and he got married and had a couple of kids and started in the steel business and polishing bumpers on cars, and he ended up as the vice president of sales at Michigan Metal Processing in Detroit. Okay. And there are a couple of other stories. There was more to my dad than I ever knew. That I had to do some research, and it's a whole nother story. But
okay.
One of the things that was kind of interesting when I first got down here, I was playing golf with the Grand Strand seniors, group of 140 guys that go play golf every Monday. And so one day they put me with 3 older guys. These guys are in their late 80s. Here I'm just 50 years old. And so the one guy says to me, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Michigan." He said, "I did some time in Michigan." I said, "Were you in the military?" He said, "No, I worked for Republic Steel." And I said, "Well, maybe you ran into my dad in Detroit at Michigan Metal Processing." He looked at me and said, "Are you Jack Frazier's kid?" I said, "No, I'm Ross Wilson's kid." He said, "Let me tell you about the times I had playing golf with your daddy." And for the next 4 hours, I heard stories I had never heard before. So, wow. Small world.
Small world. Yeah. And again, I just feel like there's something about you that must be open and ready, because opportunity, you walk through the door, you're just playing golf, and now you spend 4 hours learning about your dad.
Yeah.
There's some sort of secret sauce. I just want to I want to grab something from you and hold that, because that's what people go a lifetime with never even experiencing. Yeah. And yet you just seem to walk into things.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to do with my dad, I needed his DD-214, which is a discharge document for the military. Mm-hmm. And so I called St. Louis. That's where the repository is. And they'd had a fire back in 76, I think. Oh, no. They lost a lot of stuff. So I ended up calling the Veterans Office for the state of Michigan and talked to this lovely lady there. And she put me on hold for about a minute. And she came back and said, "I got your dad's DD-214 right here. I'll fax it to you." So she did. And so when I run into somebody that, one of the people I work with at the theater is looking for his dad's DD-214. He's beating his head against the wall. And I said, "Okay, well, here's the website. You try that. But since you're from Pennsylvania, here's the 14-page document from that office. Call them, and maybe they got your dad's there."
Wow. And so do you know? Has he?
I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow.
You'll find out tomorrow. Oh my goodness, that's really something.
But that's what we do. We solve problems. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if we can't solve it, we know who can.
So let's talk a little bit about here now as well. Okay. And you were telling us a story of Turtle having to pass the hat. Was it Turtle who had to pass the hat, right? When the first veteran walked through the door.
Back in 2009,
Yeah, tell us, to share that with our viewers.
Well, they were able to get a rented house up here behind Casa Vila in Little River. Okay. And they needed $300. And so they ended up going into, I think it was Jay's bar up there, and passed the hat to collect enough money to do what they needed to do.
For that veteran in that moment. Yeah. And that's that thread of in this moment seems to be like when we walked through the doors here, and as you were sharing with us, it is, if you walk through the door, we're going to figure out how to help you right in this moment. It's not a matter of waiting for something. You're supplied with some things that you keep on hand to help people. And then you intentionally make the connections and do the networking so that just like you did with this fella at the Alabama Theater, right? You're like, well, you're from Pennsylvania. Hey, here's where we check into that. So everything you've done, all of your experiences and all the people that you've invested in over time are still connections for you. I think that's a huge lesson for our viewers, because a big part of what I teach people is to connect with people. And you never know when that connection is going to be needed to help serve someone else. And you've just been building this web over a lifetime and are able to say, here's where we're going to connect you. This is how we're going to help you. But it's not a send them out to do it. It's about when you walk in our door, we're helping you. We're beside you right now.
One of the things that I forgot to tell you about is this organization is called the Veterans Welcome Home and Resource Center. Because when Turtle came back from Vietnam and Bill came back from Vietnam, and when I came back from Vietnam, we were not welcomed. You know, the guys that came back, my dad, when he came back from the Second World War, had big parades, big whoop-de-doo, and we didn't see that. As a matter of fact, it was just the opposite. And so that's what we do when we run into another veteran. You know, we shake their hand and say, welcome home. Because nobody ever said that to us. And so that's what we do. And I see that at the theater. You know, when I see somebody coming in with a Vietnam veteran cap on, I always walk up to them and I say, welcome home. I do actually do a little more though. But, so that's what we are. And, you know, like when I came home from the war, when my dad took me up to Howell's Bar in Dearborn to have a beer, and this is in February, in March, February in Michigan. I mean, it's cold.
It's cold.
So we're sitting at the bar having a beer, and this guy, a couple stools down, says, "Oh, you got a nice tan. Did you just get back from Florida?" I said, "Uh-huh." He said, "No, I just got back from Vietnam." And he picked up his beer and walked away.
Wow.
So that's the kind of thing we ran into, and so we're trying to get over that hurdle now. That's what we always say to other veterans: "Yeah, welcome home." And that's the whole purpose of here.
You're at 1,100 people. On track to do that. No plans to expand. Doesn't sound like you plan to get to 1,100 too well either. So, at what point, you know, at what point are you going to be forced to push out the boundaries?
Well, I don't know. Next week, I'm going to be in Missouri. I'm going to go look at a facility that was built 3 years ago out there. They've got 30 houses, 30 mini houses. They raised $3.5 million to get this facility up and running. I've talked to them a couple times on the phone. But I want to go physically look at the facility. And I don't know, maybe those are the guys that we're looking for to expand and put one of those in every state and pick up the ball from what we've established. I mean, we now have written policy and procedures for everything. Which was something that was new. When I came in, it wasn't here.
I'm feeling like that was a huge vision share right there. Yeah.
Well, we needed to have some structure. I mean, some very real structure, and so we do. And
you have to have a foundation under what you're going to build. But you have that now, and you just said out loud, maybe it's putting one of these in every state. And sounds like vision. Talk to our people. I want you to share, because here's where we are right here. What is it that you most need? Like, just look in the camera. We want to give you the opportunity to say, here's how you can help us.
Okay. And this is what I do. I go to all these different organizations. I've been to every Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club, church, school, you name it, I've been there. Of course, we need money. That keeps our doors open. And it helps us fulfill our mission of helping these veterans. But we also need other things. We need household goods. We need laundry detergent. We need bleach. We need toilet paper. We need paper products. We need those things that keep us going. And when we have a veteran that's in our shelter and is about ready to go back into society, and they're going to go get their own apartment, well, they're going to need some stuff. They're going to need dishes and silverware and pots and pans. And so we work with the Elks Club and a couple of other clubs as well as here. So we can stock them with the things they're going to need in their own place. I can remember we had one veteran who was here with his wife, and they needed a bed, and so we were able to hook up with St. Stephen's Episcopal Church and get them a bed.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what we do.
And how do we get that to you?
You pick up the phone and call me.
Call you?
Or
Okay.
come on in the door. We're also on
Online.
Yep.
What's the website?
Veterans Welcome Home and Resource Center.org. It's kind of long.
That's okay. We're going to put that across the bottom as well.
And if you want to see our smiling faces, we're on Facebook. Because every time a check comes in or is delivered, we're there. They're taking the pictures.
Super.
Yeah, and we put that out there so everybody gets a little knowledge about it.
And on your website, so is there just a button where I could click and just donate?
Yes.
And so no matter where I am in the world,
yep.
I can just get some money over here
yep,
because the cause.
Absolutely. And and it tells you exactly how to do it.
Fantastic. That's what we need. That is what we need.
There are hundreds of volunteer opportunities here in the Grand Strand area, both in North and South Carolina. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff to do. You can work at the schools, you can work at the churches, you can work at the library, you can work with us. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Yeah. It really is.
So if I just pick my love and walk in the door, that's how you did it.
Yeah.
I guess that's how we can do it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Just pick a place and walk in the door. And you may be wearing the director's pin one day before you know it.
The animal shelter, they're always looking for people to help, walk the dogs and feed the cats and the list goes on and on. A lot of organizations are there to help, and they need more help.
Yeah. Well, Ron, it's been our pleasure to spend some time with you. Both on and off camera has been amazing for us. I was mentioning to him earlier that I felt like we wanted to do a 4-part story and talk about each section sort of your life and even your quilt of valor here. And just that's a whole piece of information and story. So we may be coming back to see you again, if that's okay.
The Quilt of Valor Foundation needs people to help.
People to help.
Yes.
Every skill, every talent and craft is needed. Is so needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the work that you do here, for helping our veterans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Wynn Show. This is Wynn, and I'm inviting you to discover what's possible in your life by joining me in the I'm Possible Discovery program. You can find all the details at bsharp.us/join.